All right. So we are at week 4 at this point. We're going to send out in the recap the additional training items that are going on. We have a handful more weeks. We're going to have an optional in terms of the NCAA review. So any of you who feel, especially based on your past experiences, to do sub-varsity level prep schools. So if NCAA rules you feel are helpful, if you're not looking to opt into those, you can let our assigners know and let us know when we can pass it on for you. But we're going to go through that on a Zoom on the last Monday here, and we're also going to do a test review via Zoom that's open to all the membership, along with the clinic date. And then we have currently 2 scrimmages and jamborees set up. One is actually in Springfield, Massachusetts at Springfield College. The Central Mass or Western Mass Board was fortunate to extend that offer. So if anybody wants to go, that's going to be March 15th. Again, we'll put the dates out in the morning. There's no pressure to go, but if you want to get an extra run, and that's actually closer to you than anything else we're doing, or that availability works better, that is more than fine. They're doing both 2 and 3 man that day with training people available for you. And then we're going to have one in Cheshire Sunday on the 22nd of March. And again, that's going to go out tomorrow in the PDF for you, that you have it. The last week's recap, we just went over timing. We went over whistles, the pregame, face-offs. We're going to do a little bit more face-offs, and we did a bunch of game film. We stayed on about 20, 30 minutes additional. A decent amount of you stayed on, so thank you for doing that. Again, no obligation to, but anything we can do to help you, we're more than happy to on that. We had a homework this week. Again, the homework's not graded. I'm not going to sit here and yell and scream, but generally speaking, the homework, whenever we give you something, it's usually dual purpose. And so the one where, again, you need to text somebody by a certain deadline was the same idea, and I had a little bit more control because you were supposed to text me. So 4 of you did that, so appreciate those of you who did. But the idea is the same thing, where if you need to text the referee, or there is a change going on, not waiting last minute to tell the assigner. So again, more of a life lesson in just communicating things outright and paying attention to details and small changes that can occur, where if something, again, high schools have been known to do this, where they change the location of the field or the start time, that goes on. So getting in the habit of checking those things and reading through them gives you an opportunity to then communicate and over communicate, so that way things don't hit the fan. So again, we find it helpful if you still want to do it. So if you want to look at next week and you want to take a look and see what the homework was last week, and you want to provide that information over to us, we'd appreciate it, because that's helpful going forward. So that way we can hone in on things that you like. So with that said, any questions on last week or concerns on stuff? Cool. We'll keep it moving. And so one of the things I just like going over this slide, we started doing it last year, is just put names to faces. Again, March 1st, you're going to meet everybody. It's generally a little bit overwhelming, in my opinion, in terms of for a lot of you, you don't really know too many people. You have a handful of friendly faces. You have 3 on this call in total. You also then have your classmates, but then you're going to be in a room of 100 plus people where you probably know 5 in total people, right? So it's a little tough when we throw just a lot of names at you and different people. So again, just to go through our executive board, this is Dave Leet. I apologize that this always gets larger for whatever reason. So Dave Leet is our assigner on the high school. Al is our president of the organization. Chris has sent you a few emails as well. He's our secretary. Dave DiMartino is now, and some of you know him already from Refn and being in the community, he is our youth assigner and assistant high school assigner. You'll also hear from John Hackett, who sent out the email about Rainbow Graphics. He is Dave's assistant assigner and the former youth assigner for a very long time. So I felt it was important to just include him, since you will see him. And then Freddie Kapp is our financial secretary, helps Mr. Naramore with the youth training, and is also our vice president. So next year he'll be moving into the president role. We kind of do a 6-year term for our vice presidents, where you go vice president for 2, president for 2, and then past president. So we purposely move you forward on that. So just a few friendly faces, which I feel is more helpful since we throw a lot of names at you on that. Itinerary for tonight, we're actually going to mix it up a little bit, and so we're going to do a little bit less rule book. We're just going to go over personal fouls, but we're going to spend most of our time on positioning and counts. So the rule book's obviously in, but how we actually function as an official. We start changing this the last few years is that we felt this was a good transition since we kind of got the game, we kind of got our bearings underneath us to really spend more time talking about what you actually do as an official. We went the traditional route for multiple years, and you might be thinking this in your head, or if you're talking to other people of, man, I just want to do fouls, and it's all we do is call fouls, and we haven't gotten to figure out what a slash is, and he hasn't told me what offsides is, and I don't understand any of the rules of the game on how on earth what I'm supposed to call. And then we realized what you spend all of your time when you get out on the field is, where do I go? Where did I come from? Where am I going next? There's 46 things going on that I'm looking at. What am I supposed to be looking at? So we kind of brought it back a little bit intentionally as we did this training over the years, and realized that we spend less time generally speaking about how you do your job. And then we spend all this time explaining what is a slash or not a slash. And then we realize you don't blow your whistle or don't know where to stand. So we flip it and go back for you in this particular class 4. And we're going to spend most of our time saying, this is where you need to be. And this is what you're looking at. And then the other stuff becomes easier because we know we're looking for something. Then we're just identifying, hey, I did see that, right? As versus kind of going in the reverse order of, oh man, I don't know what I'm about to see right now, and I have no idea, but I think I know exactly what it is. And so it's kind of a little bit backwards in that. So that's what we're going to spend our time doing, a little bit over an explanation, but I like kind of thoroughly going through that. We're going to give you a precursor over on personal fouls, because next week what we're going to do is, because it's our last one before the clinic, is we're going to kind of smash in both personal and technical fouls, and then kind of go through all the additional stuff and how we actually report them and all the different nuances after the clinic. But it's intentional. We moved the clinic up this year 1 week, so we have one less week to tell you. So we want you to be kind of prepared for when we go into all that stuff in the clinic with the general membership. We feel you're kind of there. And so again, nothing that's going to be super over your head, but we just want to make sure we kind of give you that primer for that. And then the last half hour or so, Mr. Nairmore is actually going to take over and do all the training here for us, along with Vernon, and then they're going to go over the crease play for tonight. So with that, questions or concerns on stuff? The one other one, we'll remind you in the email, we have our membership business meeting. You're not required to go to the business membership meeting. That'll be next Sunday, this upcoming Sunday, via Zoom, and we'll send a link out, but you're more than welcome to attend and listen to things. We're going to go over budget and organizational stuff. So again, you'll see that message coming out in Arbiter. And before we go further, I just want to make sure we hit that. Sound good on stuff? All right. So I will have more fun slides than this, I promise. This is all the boring stuff. A bunch of stuff on the slides. And so essentially, you're going to see we're going to use... Oh, go ahead.
Before you start, just remind everyone to get their picture on Arbiter, because a lot of people haven't done that yet.
Yes, you just want to say it one more time?
Yeah, just get your picture uploaded on Arbiter. A lot of people have not done that yet, and you want to make sure your picture's there.
So make sure you go on, you can click on your picture itself and then your profile, and then just drag one over, or you can select it on whatever headshot you use. If it's LinkedIn, your professional work, whatever you have works. We don't necessarily mind when you get to the college level, they do mind, but we don't mind here if there's other people in the picture, if you can try to crop it down. Use something generally close as well. It's usually not good where if it's a picture of 6 people from a distance, we can't tell who you are, if that makes sense. So oftentimes we do click on it, and it's a lot easier. I promise Bert and I will not tell stories tonight. The extremely small one I will tell. Met a official for the first time on Saturday, had no idea who they were because they didn't have a picture in the system. different sport official was looking very lost. And I said, hey, is your name, I'm going to make it up, Bob? And he said, yes. And I said, cool, this is where we're going, and introduced myself. Bob was not officiating lacrosse that day, and it was Bob's first day, and he had no idea who anybody else was because he didn't have a picture in his system. And sure enough, Bob was essentially late for their game until we figured out Bob did a different sport. And then when we asked Bob what his name was, he said his name was Timothy. And I said, why did you say your name was Bob? And he goes, I was a little nervous and I didn't really know what to do, right? But the whole point is, it goes for the same thing, even at that level of you put a picture in, we know who you are. And that literally just happened on Saturday. Can't make it up. So last story. Bernard's going to make sure I don't tell stories from here on out because I promised him. So we have different ones you're going to see in a lot of the different pictures we're going to use, and we'll continue to go over them, but we refer to ourselves based on our position. And so a lot of the times we say lead official, which will be L in these pictures upcoming, trail official, which is T. Then we have a face-off official, which is an F. That's the person who conducts the face-off. To kind of go back, the lead official is going to be leading the play and where the offense is going, and the trail official is going to be the person trailing the play, usually where the opposite team is scoring that has the ball at the current moment. The wing official is the person not by the face-off, and then we have what's called on and off official. We use that way less, but in training we will use that in terms of when the ball is in certain area. I'm not fully versed on basketball for you basketball officials, but the on or off official and your zones and things like that, I know you have different ways of mentioning, same kind of concept. There's certain officials that kind of have priority in that zone, but in the game of lacrosse, anybody can call anything. We're very big on saying that. What we generally try to err on the side of caution, similar to basketball, if we feel something is kind of a 50-50 call or a little bit of a judgment call, we usually defer to the person who's near it, simply because they might be passing on something or cataloging or saying, hey, in the temperature and spirit of this particular game, that's not the call we're making today, but is not necessarily going against the rules. In other scenarios, when we get into personal fouls and safety calls, when people get hit in the head or really big hits and things of that nature, everybody's expected to call it because a lot of the times you have different views, and that's okay. So we really want to make sure, especially in two-man crews, we're not overly worried about on or off officials, but again, in the spirit of tonight, is going to make a lot of sense. And the other items we're going to go into, and again, we didn't do flag down and we didn't do count yet. We're going to get those, I promise. But a lot of the principles that kind of go into how we call fouls is advantage, disadvantage, right? And that question got asked way earlier, either week 1 or week 2 of, hey, in the youth level, every time somebody gets hit in the head, I don't see a flag. Of, was there an advantage, disadvantage? Was there intention? Was it violent? Did it hit the certain parameters in the rule? We have this unique thing in the game of lacrosse called the play on, very similar to soccer. I know we have a couple soccer officials where we give that advantage. So we allow, even if a player is penalized, for play to continue and the chance for them to continue picking up the ball. And we have certain scenarios where once that advantage is no longer there, we immediately reset the play. And then we have a very similar setup to hockey where we have delayed penalty calls. When a penalty does occur and we throw a flag, we essentially don't blow a whistle right away. The other team normally needs to gain possession, or it goes out of bounds, or a goal is scored, or another offensive penalty. We have a lot of different items that kind of go into that. But essentially, we kind of have, instead of having our arm up, like in hockey the entire time, we throw a flag and we allow the play to continue. And then we have different count parameters and get it and keep it in. But we're going to kind of move on slides. And so as we kind of go through that, feel free to chime in if you got questions on stuff, and we have a whole bunch of different scenarios. But the great Lou Sochi from the Western Connecticut Board has said this for many, many years, and it always got ingrained in my head as being extremely helpful. But he does this entire kind of bit, which is about, as an official, where did I just come from? Where am I going? Or where am I now? And where am I going? And it kind of sets your brain, especially if you're trying to visualize on the way to a game, or you're trying to wrap your head around the game, or as you're processing as a new official on where do I need to go, what do I need to look at, and not get lost. It really helps you. And I even find myself going back multiple times a game and multiple times in a season back to this super brilliantly rudimentary kind of way of thinking, right? I just came from the midfield pylon and I was looking for offsides. I now am standing at the goal and I have to make sure I get the goal. If the goalie saves it, I have to watch the ball go out of the zone, right? And super simple things of that. And that's what we're going to go through tonight. And his bit usually goes into, I'm standing at the goal. I'm thinking about going to dinner, right? And hopefully it's lasagna. And if I don't get there, I need to run a whole bunch more. And he kind of goes into all the fun stuff, right? But the idea is really kind of bringing yourself through the process and oversimplifying it of what's my singular job where I'm standing and what's my next job. What did I just finish doing? Am I actually done with it? So we're going to continually go through that tonight as well. So to kind of implant that in your head to start. And so to start visualizing that is, again, we are going to run what we call lead left, right? I almost just totally blanked to that, and then Vernon almost got really mad at me. But we're going to run lead left, so meaning when we're looking at the actual goal, we see that it's towards your left here. And so the lead is going to be up top in this example, next to this goal, and the trail is going to be down here by the boxes. And so we're going to then see, as we continue going and we flip it, once the trail who then turns into lead is going to be down here on the left side of the goal, and the trail is going to be on the right side of the goal. And if we flipped it, it would be that correct orientation as we're saying left versus right. And so again, we have different responsibilities in those kind of areas. If we are the lead official, I'm going to ask the crowd here, what do we think are primary responsibilities? There's multiple, but if you want to go in order or not, that's fine. What do you think the lead is responsible for if we're in a settled offensive scenario?
Goals for one.
Yes, 100%. Always a goal. So that means we've done a good job and we've taught you correctly so far. You got the first answer. Pat on the back for all the trainers on the call.
And the end line?
End line.
Out of bounds shots.
The shot.
The ball, the shot.
Yep. Everything on the end line. You're both 100% correct. Both shots on the end line, and if the ball goes out of bounds on a pass or if it just ricochets. Anything else?
Goalie possession in the crease if he goes in and out. If someone else goes in and out of the crease, falling into the crease after a shot.
What about up here, this sideline? Who do you think has that side? Who's got the better view of that sideline?
Lead official.
Yeah. Lead official, right? And what else? One other item for the lead that we might have that we didn't mention so far.
Crease.
Crease, yep. What can happen around the crease besides falling into the crease or shots? What also can happen?
Ball in and out. Getting pushed into the crease.
Continue on that. Even simpler. If I have the ball and Wick is playing defense, what does Wick want to do?
Oh, hit the ball. Play you in if I knock the ball out of the goalie's stick.
Wick is super nice. He said, hit the ball and not hit me, right? Normally, Wick wants to take my head off. and so, right, any of the fouls that occur, to your point, we all spot on, right? Any of the fouls that might occur in and near you. And we're going to have a better slide that kind of illustrates that zone that you have, but we can still have personal fouls. So that's a lot of stuff, right? A lot of stuff that we might have. We have the goal, we have the end line, we have the sideline, we have the crease, and we have all the players. Easy. Sir, why didn't you get that right instantaneously? Right? 5 and 6 and 7 things going on all at the same time that are happening in split seconds as they throw a 70-mile-per-hour rubber ball and people are running 15 to 20 miles per hour. Easy, right? As trail, what do we now have?
The other sideline.
Other sideline. Keep it simple. I love it. Good job, Ty. The other sideline.
Subbing box.
We have the substitutions that occur.
Is there
what else?
Is there like an offsides and all of that?
Yeah, we have an over and back. So we have that kind of, and I'll use basketball, we have that timeline scenario, and then we have the back court. We call it over and back. But absolutely, so we have this midline that goes on. I think we also, I'll go off of you, we have offside, so we might be counting. Both officials will help with that, but we're going to go over offsides when we get to technical fouls. So it might be counting the players to make sure that they're correct. What else do we have?
Time transition on a clear.
Yeah, the timing mechanism, both officials have that. We're going to go over that tonight, but yes.
Any type of violation beyond the box that the lead cannot see, we're responsible for.
Yep, any of those player fouls we just talked about that are in our zone, right? And then we have 2 other items that we missed. We're doing super good on this. Who hangs out here?
Oh, coach is calling timeout.
Timeout.
Yep, either coach, right, might have a question, might have something to say, might have a timeout, right? Is to that same point, if we can go over before we get to this spot in particular, that's a good time. If the coaches have something quick, we might want to listen. The timeout, as we said. What's the other main item? This is a little tricky. We haven't gone over this yet.
Nobody's in the box, the substitution box. That's not immediately going to substitute.
Yep. But even probably the most important. So if the lead's most important out of all those 26 items is the goal, what's the most important thing that the trail has? This is really tricky. So if the lead, I'll try to lead you into this answer. So in high school we don't have shot clock. So if the lead's watching the ball go into the goal, who's the person that shot the ball and what could happen to them?
The shooter. You keep your eye on the shooter even after ball is shot. No violation on the shooter.
Right? Because it's oftentimes, I don't want to say it happens every time, but oftentimes 2 to 3 to 4 times a game, you will get a hit that occurs after the ball has been released, right? A 1 Mississippi, a 2 Mississippi after. And again, that is the shooter's in a vulnerable spot. Kind of think of that kicker scenario, right? After the kicker's hit or struck the ball, I think is the correct tense on that, right? It's not necessarily as they're striking the ball they get hit. It's after, when we think about football, right? Is when that kicker is exposed and their leg are up. Same thing with the shooter as they're going and they're turned in a funky position. That is a chance of that hit. So again, if the lead's got the ball, the trail now has to not watch the ball, which is one of the toughest things to do as an official, and hone in on that shooter and watch that completion of that play, even if the ball goes in the net.
I'm going to add just one thing to this real quick. And if the player is fouled because it's a late hit, you need to determine whether the ball has already gone into the goal and then there was the late hit, or was the late hit before it went into the goal. So you're kind of keeping a wide view of things, but sort of paying attention to when it happened, because it makes a difference whether it was live ball or dead ball. We'll get into that at a later point, but just think of it as the trail. You're watching for the late hit. And if it's really late, you want to kind of make a mental note of that, because that's going to have an impact on how you assess the penalty.
So the best part of this is after you just heard the lead had 6 things, you're like, oh man, the trail position must be easy, right? And then the trail's got 8 things as well. So there is a lot. And again, we're going to try to boil it down. As we said, we're again not necessarily 1 through 5 every time, but there are priorities, and as you get more comfortable in the game, we're going to check things off of the box, as we said. And so as the trail's coming up, we're going to have that clearing count. We might pass the coaches. We might have a good amount of players here. The coaches don't have anything. It's not a normal scenario that we might be expecting a timeout. We might be settled into the offense. The ball might be away from us, and all of a sudden, we're just kind of like, we don't have a lot going on right now. We've kind of checked all those boxes, and now we're here at this point, and now we're just waiting for that shot and waiting for the shooter kind of thing. There's always other things to do, to be aware of, but it kind of makes it where we can focus on 2 or 3 things at a time versus 8 things at all times, if that makes sense. So as we go forward, everybody nailed it. Awesome, awesome job. And so to kind of go over that zone, as we said, we're going to draw an imaginary line in across that midfield, the half court here. And so the lead, again, makes sense. We said end line and sideline. We said the trail has the midline, the middle of the field line, and the bench side sideline. So that makes sense. We draw our triangle. This line isn't perfect. A lot of things happen right around that line, and we know that. But essentially, it gives us kind of a parameter of what we're looking at. What the trail also has is the rest of this field. Now, the good thing, nothing really happens over there. It can, once in a while, like a dog on a field or a bunch of kids trying to murder each other. But outside of that, 99 out of 100, we don't have anything going on the backside a lot of the time. So again, once we get over that mid, we can kind of mentally clear that checkbox and focus on our kind of triangle here to that point. And again, where it gets tricky is when plays, again, this is a very dynamic sport, not overly static when we see things. And so it's going to rotate past this line a lot, the ball and the players. And a lot of times we'll be caught in an area and it's okay to throw 2 flags, or it's okay to have to communicate with your partner and figure out, hey, I had this. Did you have that? Well, I was looking over here. Well, that's your zone. Doesn't matter. I was looking over here. And a lot of that will make sense as we go through that. So goal and end line, shooter, far goal, over and back for the trail. So then another visualization, as we look at these lines, it makes a lot of sense. The lead and the lead has the purple, so that entire sideline, along with the end line, the whole sideline, and the far end line is for the trail. When the trail moves down here, and the lead, which is now the new trail, as we call them, is here, you still have those same sidelines and end lines. So again, it becomes pretty simple. Throughout the entire half that you're on that side of the field, we only switch at halftime, you will have both of those things and the entire time. So it kind of makes it easy where we now get our responsibilities. And once we get over that midline as the new trail, that midline becomes ours. And that end line becomes the new lead. And so when we do restarts, this is one of the things that the newbies have a tough time trying to figure out is, again, if we had the ball, let's say, go out of bounds, and the defense is going to get the ball, so the purple becomes trail, the yellow becomes what we call new lead, the team is going from your computer screen right to left, who should blow in the ball? Who should restart the play if we're going from right to left? Purple or yellow?
Yellow?
So I'm going to flip it on you. So this is now going to be the L, because we're going to go this way and going to go to this goal, and this is now the trail.
Oh, so
and
the trailing guy should be, yeah.
Correct. So it's going to be purple, right? And what should yellow be doing?
Running.
Moving.
Yeah.
Going to
right?
the GLE.
Don't overcomplicate it, right? But that is one of the biggest things as new officials as we do. We said, okay, I just did my whole checklist and everything's great and everything's fine. I'm going to sit here for 10 seconds and relax. And then all of a sudden the ball gets thrown out of bounds and you go, uh-oh. And we watch it, right? And we go, all right, my partner's going to blow it in. Cool. He blew it in. Oh, there goes the ball over the midline. Oh, the ball's going to go. Wow, they got a really good play. Oh, it's in the net. Pretty cool. That was a good goal. And we're standing here, right? So again, remember, we have positions to go to. So our lead is always going to try to get to goal line the best we can. And that trail always wants to come in towards that restraining line and that wing line, usually in that 35 yard. If we have a football field marking, we want to be standing by those numbers of the 35. So that's one of the most common mistakes we make is we start ball watching when there's really nothing to watch, right? And so it's remembering where we're kind of heading. So purposely.
Just one comment. So the colors represent who is making the call of out of bounds, but it's not designating who's doing the restart, as we just discussed. And if you think about it, if the ball goes out, Rob, if you can put that, down there, you want the lead to blow it in because that way the trail has time to get down toward the other goal.
Yeah, purple. I'll use just different reference to that same point. We want purple blowing it in, right, to over here because that allows yellow to get down to their goal. And so
so when they go, if it's say a slow clear, slow break, do they follow the ball up or is it just an automatic transition to goal line extended?
So you always want to stay so remember, this is kind of the simple thing is, yep. And I'll continue with our example. So if you're purple, you always want to stay behind or with the ball. A lot of times you want to stay behind the ball because if you're in front of the ball, you can't see, and it's always tough on Zoom when I do this, but if I'm in front of the ball, I'm going to look forward, right? And so I can't see what's behind me. If I'm behind the ball, I can see the whole field, right? I have a huge, what I always refer to as the cone of vision. A lot of times what we'll do is when we eventually get up here is one thing, but as trail, if we backpedal and we get in a position that's even towards this sideline, now we can be looking down the line, we can be looking this way, and this is always tough on camera, but what I say is, and we refer to it as opening the gate. And so as simple as that sounds, instead of just standing this way, looking down the sideline, if I open my hips and open the gate, I can now look whatever that is, 270 degrees, right? I can't watch everything, but I can really open up and see stuff. We see a lot of new officials, to your point, if the goalie's got the ball and we're dead straight on the goalie, right, it's tough. We're not looking at the players coming at him. If we stand maybe a few yards behind him and take a different angle, I can see the people approaching, I can still see the goalie to my left, and I got a much wider frame, right? And I kind of say that like, I'll use a different sport, but same in lacrosse, is whoever's dodging up top, or if it's the point guard, you don't want your point guard just sitting down an alley looking like this, or your quarterback only looking at their key receiver, right? You want your quarterback to be wide. Look right, look left, look center. I'm going left now, right? So as you open things up as an official, it gives you better chances to see stuff, because all the time that we see okay, now the goalie throws it and I watch the ball and I turn my head, now the goalie gets smashed. I heard it, but I didn't see it. As versus if I'm behind, I can still see the ball being thrown, but I can still watch the goalie. So it's always about opening that cone of vision. Really good question on that.
And to answer your question about the yellow trail, who's going to be the new lead, he's not just going to sprint down the field and go right to goal line extended. He's going to move depending on how fast the ball is moving, up the field. And Rob will talk more about that as we go along.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And so again, you always want to be just ahead of it or just behind it with anticipating where it's kind of going. Kind of getting to a spot so we don't have to sprint to a spot, but using those chances, and we'll talk about that as we can get places. So if we then flip it, I know I inverted the picture, but to make your brains also work in the same fashion, right? Again, same idea. This is the new trail, as we said, and the new lead in our example. So if we took this one and we said, hey, now the ball's transitioning from right to left on our screen, we still have the same sidelines. We just have the name and the colors change to that person. Same thing here, where the lead has the goal. The trail is in that 35 range, using that wing line as your reference. He's a little bit high, but same kind of zones that occur, just flipped.
Rob,
questions on any of that?
You want to explain what you mean by 35-yard line?
On the football field would be the 35-yard line. Thank you. Intentional pause. All right. We'll go back through those, I promise, but we're going to keep moving here. And so we have, again, a face-off official and a wing official. So the wing official is going to be back. The face-off official is going to conduct the face-off. It is not like the college game because we don't have 3 people. So there's only one person up at the face-off. The other person is on the wing. Same idea as the goal. The face-off official has the face-off. The wing has everything else on the field. When we do the face-off, again, it's 3 versus 3, 2 face-off guys, 2 wing guys on each side. So essentially, once the field is ready, that's when that wing official will point and say, hey, I'm good to go, versus the yellow stop sign or yellow caution light, and to a green go. And then all we're focused in is those wing players and maybe looking at the face-off players. Again, that face-off player is going to conduct the face-off official, is going to conduct the face-off, going to set the ball down. We're going to say down. Once our partner is good, we're going to make any of our verbal corrections. We're going to say set. We're going to blow a whistle. And then we're going to, when there's possession, we wind, because that allows everybody else who's past these restraining lines, the 3 attackmen and 3 defensemen, 3 attackmen and 3 defensemen, they can now come over that restraining line because our face-off has concluded.
Are we still yelling possession?
Yes. Usually we have some, I say possession. So I don't really say the full word. I don't know why. Most of us don't. We just, it's weird. It's whatever comes out of your mouth works, and you'll just find something. I don't know why we do that, but I never call it full possession. It's too many syllables. And so, again, we want to play only the ball. The knee can go on the ground afterwards, that's fine, but cannot be when we say down or set. And again, we want to make sure that we are being safe and staying clear of those wing players coming in. The best advice on a face-off is to stand still. I use the analogy of a hallway. If you see somebody else walking down a narrow hallway, and if you both move, you'll both move in the same direction. Think about it for a second. Last time you walked down a hallway, you move right, Mr. Naramore moves right, then I move left, then Mr. Naramore moves left, and then we bump into each other. Sorry. The best thing to do is one of you stops, and the other one will adjust. It's easier for the players to adjust if you don't move. The number one way to get hit, we've all gotten hit, not necessarily railroaded, but we've all run into players, it's because we're moving. If we stand still, much lower chance. When then we look, this is just the top end of the face-off. When we say that neutral zone, that stop to top concept, so the top of the face-off head to the ball stop, and then again, we want to place the ball in the middle of their sticks. And you'll see when it's very off. If it's close, we're good, right? If it's 3 inches off, we're not good. If they're fairly close, we're good. And so the ball wants to be in the middle, and this is what we say by the lean. If one player has their stick, I'm trying to go to the same level, really lean towards the ball, we can tell them to fix the lean and be perpendicular up and down when we mean on that stick. So there's a nice clean neutral zone. Same thing if we go sideways here. See the ball would be placed in the middle. The face-off head is 10 inches from the top of the scoop to the throat. So again, it gives you a middle right in this area on both sticks. And to that same point, this is the neutral zone that doesn't actually exist, but this is what we're imagining, and where they cannot have their helmets or any body part in that neutral zone, all the way down to the goal, all the way down to the goal. So I can't have an elbow out in that neutral zone. I can't have a helmet over in that neutral zone either.
North and south too, Rob.
Correct. Right.
North,
it's the idea
south,
of the
east, west.
Right. It's that idea of the goal line where it wraps around the entire planet, even though it doesn't. It does in the spirit of the rules. So again,
do we
one
ever
more.
touch their stick, or just by command they have to listen to us? Sorry for the background.
No, you're good. You're good. My rule of thumb is never touch a player ever under any circumstance, unless it's
just their stick. I'm saying
you never touch a minor ever in the game. Is my rule of command. Now, if it's unavoidable and you run into each other, I'm not going to call and yell at you, right?
Yeah.
If you need to, but and I say that very pointedly, not because I'm mad at you, I promise, but right. it becomes a really good habit to never start, if that makes sense. Right? Yep. And so just go verbal. By rule, can you? Yeah, but a really good rule to just never get into a scenario. Sound good?
Yep. Perfect.
Super good question. Even college guys, we don't touch them. We don't touch any player ever unless it's completely unavoidable. Is a good rule of thumb.
He was asking about touching the stick also, Rob.
That's okay.
I still don't touch them at all because I'll try to keep this brief. On video, a coach will see that you are touching, they'll count how many times you touch their player's stick and how many times you didn't touch the other player's stick. What they can't video is how many times you verbally corrected them. because they can't hear you if you're low. If you're screaming, yes, right? But I kind of go back to that theme of you're on video, and they will see that you are adjusting them multiple times. By rule, yes, I will agree with Naramore and Brennan on that one for sure, but I still go back to that. Just don't touch anything on them, including the stick, if that makes sense.
Easy enough. Not bad. Easier not to have a gray area than just be black and white.
Right? Like you just realize, and it's funny, you see if your partners do it, you just see how bad it looks sometimes. Like they take their stick and they move it to that point. I've gotten out of the habit of doing it. Like it just looks bad. As we said, we're just going to go through it, race through this here. But again, they need to be ready. They need to have their stick. There's a lot of stuff. Their sticks above the knee before they go down. They have to go down, have those sticks top to stop, be out of the neutral zone. Their stick needs to be parallel to the line, as we said, in terms of this going down the line here. We also need to make sure that their hands are completely around the cross and touching. That seems to be the new thing the last few years. They have the backhand up to start leveraging their head already. Again, that stick head can't be leaning, and they can't have any body part besides the gloves and their feet touching the ground.
I'll add one more thing.
Go ahead.
I'll add one more thing, which is when you tell them to go down, I like to say down together because you don't want one going down first and then the other. So if you get them used to, knowing down together, that makes it smoother.
And Rob, the moto grip.
Oh, yes, you have to have your palm up. Thank you, Mr. Naramore. Your palm up.
Closest to the head. Can't be that. Has to be that.
And your right hand has to be closest to the head. You have to do face-offs righty. So, if we are the wing official, the left picture or the right picture, and why, which one should we be paying attention to? If we're the wing official and our job is the wing players, which one seems to be the one drawing more of our attention?
The one to the right. The two players are jamming for the same spot.
Yeah, that's it, right? Common sense stuff of if they're next to each other, probably some dumb stuff about to happen. As we said, and that's we asked last week, whoever gets that spot gets that spot. So let's pretend blue is and white's trying to shove them over. Again, we can either do the burn-in and you blow a whistle and you run all the way over there and you wait 10 minutes. No, I'm just wait 5 seconds and you whisper and you say, knock it off. And you run back and everybody's seen it, or you do the Rob Halb and you're the loudest Long Island mom on the planet and you yell once, knock it off, whatever floats your boat. But again, it accomplishes the same thing versus here, and this is a good example in this picture of the stick over the white player, which is allowed, shouldn't be touching one another. So again, we can have the stick over the line. All of these players are technically good. We might tell them to knock it off, depending on, again, the temperature of the game, what's happened. Is this the 6th face-off this has happened in a row, and they're really pushing and shoving every time? Or is this the first one, and they said, that's my lucky spot, man. You're kind of in it. Can you move over? No, man. Right? And sometimes that happens. It's that simple. They just have a couple words, and they stand right next to each other, and they're fine. But, again, where our attention is kind of drawn to. So when we then get out of there, we blow a whistle, we have a good face-off. The face-off official, again, wants to try to back out towards the sideline at a 45-ish if they can, because they need to get to this goal. Now, intentionally, these two midfield wing players are here. So this might, because they're going to be running in, and they always run towards where the ball is going. So if the ball scoots straight out to the right, and these players are coming in here, this is a bad path to take as that official, right? So we might want to come out. And so again, how do we prevent that? Before we do our face-off, we look at our partner. I'm going to look to my right and see where the wing guys are, and then I'm going to go back and make a mental note of, hey, they're really far down the line on my side. I might have a trouble backing out that way. What could also occur is the ball comes out. Let's say we know the face-off player on this side has been winning forward a lot. I might step down the midfield line. And that gives me a safe path to get out of there because I know that ball is going to go forward. I know these midfield players are going to come in. I don't want to be anywhere there. So I can come out a little bit. Same thing as the wing official. is we generally want you kind of here to begin with in a 2-man game, not really up. This is more of a 3-man game. Oh, excuse me. And so being back is better, but if you do creep up, we have to know where those wing players are so we're not getting hit. To the same idea where even if we're on this left side and this ball is going forward every time, these midfield players might now take a 45-degree angle. So it's being cognizant of where things are going in the game and how do we keep ourselves safe. Oversimplification, but once then we get into it, the face-off official, I keep saying it, becomes the lead official. The wing official becomes the trail, is going to sweep kind of through, still check in because we have substitutes. We're going to wait for those substitutes because the same thing, and I think Wick, you asked the question, we can be late coming into the zone. We have the rest of the field. So sometimes we go to the pylon, wait for all the substitutions. We can keep everything in front of us. Once they're done, we move up. At lower levels, we have a lot less substitutions that occur on the fly. At varsity levels, we substitute almost everybody all the time. It is a constant ballet that occurs. But again, understanding where we go and how we move forward. On the reverse, if the wing official becomes the lead, we're getting down to that goal line, and then the same thing, the face-off official can kind of take their time, might want to hang out closer to the midline to watch any of the subs, and then move in. Again, Wick, to your point, we don't have to be sprinting up to the area. We want to keep as many players in front of us or to the side of us as we can, as versus sprinting up and then having to look backwards, and then we lose part of the play too. We can keep a lot of things in front of us. Sound good on those?
Yep.
All right, pop quiz time. So we're going to introduce a new concept here. In the event a shot is taken, in lacrosse it is odd. When and where the ball goes out, at the time it goes out, the closest player is awarded the ball on a shot only. On a pass or a touching of the line out of bounds or anything of that nature, it's like every other sport. The ball gets turned over to the other team. If it's a pass, if it's deflected, the last team that touched it does not get the ball, same as other sports. Or if we step on a line, it goes to the other team. If it is a shot, we are unique. The ball gets awarded, I'm going to say it one more time, when and where it goes out at the time, whoever's closest.
And when Rob says whoever the closest, he means whichever on the field player is closest, that is inbounds. So if the player is running toward the end line and steps out of bounds before it crosses, he doesn't count as being closest to.
Does the stick count or just your body?
We've had this argument a million times. It is, generally speaking, the body. You go by whatever body part, and to John's point, whatever is last touched the ground is what counts as being on the field. So generally speaking, your feet, whatever foot has last touched the ground, that's where you're at. Again, this is going to be a live play where people is running, so this is never going to be perfect, right? And when you see people dive, which happens a lot in our sport, when you become airborne, it's where your feet were. So players who are taught correctly will slide. So if their hands touch, it's now the hands. But it's not necessarily, if you dive up in the air, it's still where my feet were. Oh. If I'm diving on the ground, because it's whoever's last touched inbounds, if that makes sense.
That's interesting.
If you're airborne, you are considered to be inbounds if you had last touched inbounds. So if you're airborne and the last part you touched with your feet is inbounds, you are considered an inbounds player. But it's your body at the time it crosses the goal, the end line, or it could be the sideline on a shot, that is going to determine what's closest. So you're looking at the body.
Quick question.
Yeah, you're good.
So if they shoot and it doesn't go in, but one of their teammates is closest, they retain the ball? It doesn't just automatically go to the other team?
It does not. Your mind is now blown. This is the really weird thing on lacrosse. So I'll give you the example here. So blue is shooting. You get to be my first guinea pig here, James. So blue is going to shoot the ball from here and shoot it, misses the cage, and goes out of bounds. Remember blue. So we're just looking on this right side of the screen here in this example. When and where it goes out is the green X. Blue's teammate is standing right on the end line, right here in the back of the goal, but the ball goes out where the green X is. Who is closest, the orange player or the blue player?
Orange is out of bounds. So it would be the blue.
Out of bounds is the border here.
Oh, so I can't. Oh, okay. I can't see the full.
Yeah, we can't see it.
I thought that line that orange is on. Okay,
That's our alley line.
gotcha. It will be.
Is that better for everyone?
Yeah, it will be orange.
Yeah.
Yep, orange, right? And I purposely give you the lines to try to see. These aren't going to occur in the game, unfortunately. We don't have augmented reality, right, in our vision. But this is what we're doing in our brains, right? We have to draw this line. And so one of the most common mistakes is, well, that player was next to the end line. They have to be closest. But if we look at that, when and where it goes out, in reality, it could be orange. So if I switched it and moved him here, who would be closest now?
Blue.
Blue, right? So blue gets to retain possession. Now, we go to purple, and we're going to switch it a bit. We're going to go on this left side cage. They take a shot. It hits the post. Blue has shot the ball, and it hits the post, and it goes all the way to the substitution box and exits the field at the time it hits the purple X. Who's actually closest?
Orange, or whatever color that is. I'm colorblind.
And I'll give it to you. On which side of the midline? The left orange or the right orange?
The right orange. I do know left from right.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Just my colors.
that was very good comedic relief. And so, again, the midfield doesn't matter, right? It's just out of bounds. So this player is still in bounds and is actually closest to the ball, right? Regardless, if I move this player back, who would probably be closest?
Probably blue.
Probably blue, right? And again, we use this intentionally. This is the one where coach and the parents are going to yell. Orange was closer. Again, you have to determine, right? And again, remember where we're standing. Trail's over here, lead's over here. Is this an easy spot for us to see if it ricochets off a post at 50 miles per hour and goes out of bounds within 1 second? No, nobody's there, right? And so we have to make a determination. And I always say, this is my number one comment to coaches that usually gets me in trouble of, coach, it's geometry. I'm never good at math. I have to do math on the fly, right? But we have to do math on the fly and determine which player. You're generally going to, in your brain, try to remember this is when it went out, look over, see who it was, and that's who you're going to make a determination. It's all about confidence in that call. You're never going to be perfect every time because we don't have a ruler, right? Orange could be closer, but if we felt when it went out and we took a quick back look at their feet and we saw blue, it's going to be blue ball, and that's where we're going to go for. We generally don't take this to heart, we generally err on the side of the offense. We'll generally err because they're usually in a better position. Same thing, if the ball goes out, let's say, on the end line, we usually err in the goalie's favor. The goalie's kind of running and ahead of everybody. The goalie's probably the closest one, 9 times out of 10. And so if we use this left example, let's say a normal shot, blue took a shot and went out at red, who would get the ball?
Blue.
Blue. This is an easy one, right? Now, I'm going to make it more difficult. Let's say the only player for orange or all players are above the goal line extended. And let's say the goalie is on the goal line and the ball goes out. I'm going to move it to make it easier. Goes straight over the cage and out of bounds. Who's closest? It's the goalie, right? Same thing when that shot misses and that goalie steps out and that attackman is kind of neck and neck. As that lead official, if I watch that goalie get past goal line first and that's a really quick shot and he's got that half a step, I'm going to err on the side of that goalie because he got out of that that goal fastest, if that makes sense, right? But again, we got to realize that it goes this quick, right? It's not like orange is standing here and that goalie comes out. I'm like, oh, the goalie came out. It's a goalie ball, right? In this scenario, who would I normally give it to?
Orange.
Orange, right? He's pretty close without using a ruler. Even if I moved it a little bit this way, a lot of the times you're not going to realize if it went here or here. And that might be 5 or so yards. Because again, we're looking at the goal. The ball whizzes over the cage. We got a bunch of people running, and now I got to turn and run with it, right? And that comes to the last point. What makes your life easy, if the ball goes slowly, we can move our position from the goal line and run towards where the ball is going. And sometimes it'll go out here on a slow roll, and now we have a really good chance to see this, right? And it's a lot easier. Now that we're seeing this and we're standing right over here as versus standing up here, because we're staying in front of the play and we can watch them come through. It gets tough, I promise you. Veteran officials have tough with this because it goes that quick. Questions on this exercise?
One point here to be made, which is
Yeah.
when you're judging who's closest to the ball when it goes out of bounds, you're determining that based on where the ball is, and when it breaks the plane of the line, that's when you're making your decision. In general, a ball's not out of bounds till it hits something out of bounds, but as far as shots are concerned and judging who is closest, you're basing it on when it crosses the plane of the out of bounds, not waiting for the ball to actually hit something out of bounds. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I would add too, if it's any kind of a contest towards that end line, don't stand at GLE and make the call. Even if you know what the call is, run to the end line, make your call then, because it looks better. It looks like you actually were down there, even though in your mind you already made your call. Do it. Run to that end line and then make your signal.
It's magical when that occurs because a lot of the times the ball will go out, super contested, the ball will be out, you blow a whistle, and your body magically travels another 5 or 6 yards. Then everybody looks at you, you make a call, super confident, it's blue ball, we're going out, blue ball, and the coach says, "Wow, coach, I was standing here the whole time." And then you watch the video, you're standing here, and then when the whistle blows, you're magically standing here, right? Coach, I was here the whole time. Everybody forgets where you started. Everybody remembers where you finished. If you're way up the field, to Dick's point, it's really tough to sell that call. Really easy when you're standing right there. Same, the last point I'll make too, the one that I get tripped on the most, ball goes up high in the sky. It hits something, deflects way up. I have no idea where it went. I don't know when it went out of bounds. I don't know where it went out of bounds. It's just somewhere in a different parking lot in a different zip code, right? And a lot of times I'll take a second. And sometimes you'll see, right, this player standing here, and you'll see this orange player sprint there. And I'm like, it broke the plane way ahead of that kid, right? So sometimes you have to piece it together the best you can. I'm not saying make it up, but you can infer if that player was there and that ball is in a parking lot, it has broken the plane way past where we're currently present in time. And that player running late to that line doesn't get that benefit of the doubt. The player who had initially established, because again, you're trying to infer when that ball broke the plane. And sometimes you just won't see it, and it's part of it. And it's really, really, really tough that occurs. And we're not making excuses, but again, think of different days where you have gray skies or sun and things like that. It is tough to see that ball, even at night and things. Make sense on these? All right. So,
hey Rob,
when
can I
then
ask
we
you
get
a quick
go ahead.
question?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So what if there's a shot that's just so off target? Is there like a point where you're like, hey, we're not, going with these closest two rules? We're just saying, hey, that's bad pass,
Yes.
or like, what's
Yep.
the mechanism for that?
So you have to determine whether or not it's a shot. So defining by rule is a offensive player propelling, or a player who's trying to propel the ball to try to score or kicks it. So if you feel they're intending to shoot, it's a shot. And that's a judgment call. If you feel they were intending to pass it, it's a pass. I know that's an oversimplification, but my response to coaches is we don't judge quality. It usually gets a half a laugh, but it is very accurate. If I see that player wind up and shoot and try to make it a goal, and it goes at a 45-degree angle, 1,000 feet in the sky, but that kid, was standing in front of the goal and trying to shoot it, that's still a shot, right? Normally, to oversimplify your answer, if, let's say, I'll just make it work here, you have to be above goal line extended for it to be a shot. So blue is trying to really hum it in to the middle, right, and trying to get a deflection or anything, that's still going to be a pass. If I'll now move them above goal line, and the ball goes straight out, and normally if you see them kind of go overhand, right, we're usually at a pass scenario. And again, it's a judgment call. If they're kind of going sidearm and you see it fling out of the stick, we can still deem it a shot, right? It can go sideways. There's no rule that it doesn't, especially if it gets deflected, then it's going to come out wonky, where it might hit, and the last example I'll give, blue is going to shoot it. Normally, it hits orange and goes out to purple. That's still a shot because he was intending to go regardless of where it ends up. That's a really good question.
Yeah, much appreciated.
And if you need to, you can use your partner to help you with that if it's a really complicated situation or it's hard to tell what happened. You can kill the play, check with your partner, and then call. Generally, you're not going to be doing that, but if you need to, you can.
Yeah, I'll ask Kevin a follow-up question for you. What happens if the shooter shoots and his teammate tips it before it goes out of bounds? What do you do?
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Right now, I panic, bro. Just make something up and be confident with it.
Solid answer.
There's a good little phrase that they use. A shot is a shot until it's not. So think of that. Just because it was tipped, it was still a shot. So now you're still judging who's closest to it, when and where it goes out of bounds. So the fact that it tips doesn't matter. It would if you deem it as a pass, because now the tip means the other team might have tipped it and they won't gain possession.
We had a very quick, this is an example, not a story. We had one the other day. This is going to confuse over and back, but we had a player take a shot, hit the defenseman in the stomach, bounced forward. The player went to scooped it, missed it, and bounced forward, and we deemed it and got all the way over here, and we still deemed it a shot because it was still going in the same direction as a shot. Nobody changed the fundamental nature of that shot at any point. It hit a bunch of things, but it just continued as a shot. So not trying to get in the weeds on that example, but as weird as that is, somebody takes a shot here and goes out of bounds all the way down here. Believe it or not. It just can hit a whole bunch of weird stuff on the way, but it's still a shot. Very rare, but can occur.
And Rob, to that point too, even a slow roller to the end line, if I go to scoop it and I bobble it and then it goes out of bounds, you have to determine, I think the book calls it, I added impetus to it. I forced it out of bounds versus I was ineptitude and I couldn't scoop it and then it went out of bounds. It's still a shot, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And so to just move through these, because we want to still give Dick time to do crease here. And so again, we had gone over this earlier, but this is this deep restart idea, right, as Bernard has said. So with now proper coloring, so the trail, right, we want that lead to move down so that way they can see. And then Wick, this was your question. We don't necessarily have to be at goal line, but again, gives us a really good view of the field, right? We can see this whole sideline. We can see everything. Trail can come over and closer to crease. I like coming to the middle of the field, gives me a better view. That way I'm not yelling back here instruction as this player. I can come over and help out. Same kind of idea when we're kind of doing, right, restarts. We might have, especially normal restarts that occur after shots, the offense can start inside the box, such as green, because that's where the ball went out, so they can bring it right in. If we have a penalty, they need to move outside the box. So if we had adjudicate a penalty, again, we'll go through that once we have penalties, but if we had a time-serving penalty, or if we had a non-time-serving technical foul, so you basketball guys, our technical is the least of the worries, or on the chain, excuse me, on those, we would move them outside the box to red. And then if we normally see a penalty or something else occurred, or a face-off violation, we move them on their offensive half by the face-off X. So our normal spots, it doesn't mean these are the only spots we can start, but a normal kind of starting spot. And same idea where if, let's say, the defense got it, they can start inside their defensive area if they like. They can also opt to go outside of their offensive area if they choose. That is more rare these days. Most defensive players will take the ball right where it was, or even if there was a crease violation or things of that nature, the goalie will start in the crease. The goalie wants the ball to start the clear. But by rule, they can move outside. Dave, did you have some?
Yeah, if you can just repeat that again, please, for clarification on the restart from the alley.
Yep. So if we had any kind of penalty, so if we had let's say a loose push, so there's no time serving, again, don't worry about the exact phrases I'm using, but if we had a technical foul that occurred, we have to be outside the goal area if the offensive team gets that ball back, or if we had a time serving foul, they also cannot start in the goal area. So we will often put them in the alley in that scenario. If it was a shot, they can start inside without getting into the weeds. Sound good on those?
Yep.
We'll go over penalty enforcement later, but again, on the defensive restart, as we said, we're going to see normal spots where we said they might start in the alley if they choose. They can also start inside if they like, and the defenseman takes it. I'm going to say this is the goalie. The goalie can start on the crease. Again, if it's youth, we will normally move them outside, especially if we see that a goalie is struggling to handle the ball throughout the game. We don't want to put that goalie in that scenario. 9 times out of 10. You can help him out and throw the ball outside because we don't want the goalie having a worse day than he might be having. And again, the other scenario that we always want to remind you as newbies and veterans, we want to make sure we do not start the play right on top of the substitution area. The chance of somebody coming out of that substitution area or even coming from behind of that player is pretty high. We don't want to see a collision. We want to move them close to that wing line as possible. And we'll have a video example later in the course, but we move them way out. Even if it's here, we might move them way out here if the ball went directly on the line. We want to move them way off anywhere in that substitution in that coaching area. Even in the college game, we move them away from that sideline, and we even might move them away from the midline. Again, you need 5 yards on a restart. We just don't want more issues to occur. People swinging for no apparent reason. Questions on anything? And as we say, we always like this slide real quick of great example of even while giving a goal signal, we're still watching the pile. We're still watching for flare-ups and temper spots, always watching. We don't have to just be watching the goalie dig the ball out. Can we still be actively officiating as we go? Sound good?
Yep.
Time-wise, we'll do this one next week. Dick, I want to give you enough time, so I'm going to
no
swap.
problem.
I'm going to unshare. If you give me half a second. Unshare, movie.
And Rob, we're not recording right now, correct? Or are you, and you'll shut it off later?
We are. We're doing cloud, so you'll be good once you end the meeting.
Okay.
Where did you go? And you are now host.
All right. I will share my screen. Okay. So crease play, basically a lot of the mechanics. It's where you earn your money. There's a lot that can happen around the crease. For those that know the game, obviously you've seen this. There can be a myriad of things going on. We have interferences, we have penalties, a lot. So you want to make sure you get in the right position. Just definitions, a goal is 6 foot by 6 foot. The crease is a 9-foot radius. We have a goal area, which Rob just mentioned, that box, if you will, the offensive box. This is the crease. And then there's a goal line that goes from pole to pole. The goal is actually a cylinder, okay? So think of a cylinder, and you'll see why in a second. So it's not just the ground, but it's the area above the ground. All this is the goalie's domain. Let me go this way. There we go. So goal crease rules, and we'll come back to that cylinder here in a second. Goal crease privileges. So a goalkeeper may stop or block a ball in any manner with his body. He can bat or block the ball with his hand, but he can't catch it with his hand, okay? And no opposing player may make contact with the goalkeeper, the goalkeeper's cross when he's in the crease, I will add, or the goal cage. Can't touch the goal cage at all as an offensive player before or during a shot, but after is okay. So what do I mean by that? Player comes in, takes a shot, and then runs right through this area. That's fine, as long as the ball's in first. But he can't step in there and then shoot. That would be no goal, crease violation.
Dick, can I just add one thing?
You bet.
And you will see this occasionally, not that often. A goalkeeper may not pick the ball up with his hand and put it in his cross.
Right.
So he can bat or block it, as Dick says, but he can't catch it and he can't pick it up with the hand.
I don't know if you can see, but let's say this is a goal stick. He can do that. He can whack it into his stick, right? John, you're all right with that?
Yep.
But to John's point, I can't do that. Okay.
What happens if they do catch the ball? Does that count as a goal or a restart? How does that work?
It would be a procedure call. I mean, I can't. I don't think I have ever seen a goalie actually catch the ball. That would be pretty rare. These things are moving pretty hard. He may block it with his hand, but I've never seen an actual catch. John,
okay. I've never seen it, but if he picks it up, it's a technical foul, so it's going to go to the offensive team. It's good. The other team will get the ball.
Right. So again, no offensive player in that area. Can a defensive player come in here?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Not to play goalie.
Good point. Right, we'll get to that as well.
A defensive player cannot also enter the crease with possession of the ball.
With possession, right? Yeah, I think that comes up next, John.
Okay.
Yeah. So the goalkeeper, once is in possession, you start your 4-second count and your 20 count. So mechanically, what you would do, once that goalie makes the save, hand up, put your beeper on, 2, 3, 4. At 4 seconds, the ball or the keeper with the ball better be out of the crease. Okay. Any questions on that? That's after a possession, not just a blocked shot, but possession. No re-entry with possession. Pass back to the keeper is okay. To John's point, a defender who picks the ball up, say outside, and he steps in with the ball, or the goalie is physically outside the crease, picks up the ball, and steps back in, that's a re-entry. No good.
I like to just say a player cannot enter the crease with possession.
With the exactly.
From outside the crease going in. When you use re-entry, it makes it sound like you had to be in, then you went out, then you went back in. If you just think about it, any defensive player, including the goalie who's outside the crease with possession, may not enter the crease with possession.
Exactly. Yep. The offensive player may touch or clamp or rake a loose ball in the crease, but be careful here. Did the goalie clamp it first, and now the attackman is hitting his stick? That would be illegal. But if the attackman first clamps the ball and rakes it out of there, and the goalie hits his stick, you've got nothing. Okay? So basically, everyone's entitled to a loose ball in the crease. It's just who touches it first. Who's on it first is what you were looking for.
So the goalie can check an attackman who's got the ball clamped, but the attackman cannot check the goalie who has the ball clamped.
Bingo.
Thank you.
If the ball is in the crease.
If the ball is in the crease, correct.
In the crease, or as we said, for the crease cylinder.
Right.
Yep. And you'll see the cylinder picture in a second. And then this is crossed out from last year. So on a shot, that goalie has gone back to the end line to try to get the ball. Maybe his teammate has picked it up, and you're about to do a restart. Last year, you waited a 5 count for that goalie to get back in. That is no longer true. They did away with that. In youth, different situation. So, as a lead unofficial watching crease play, where's the ball? These are the things real quick in your head while you're down there. Where's the ball? Where's the keeper? Is there possession? And where are the players? You got to add that all together while you're making those calls. So in this case, does that keeper have possession?
Yes.
Where is the keeper?
He's in the crease.
Why?
Because his right foot is in the crease.
Perfect.
What if the right foot is just touching that pink line? Is he still in the crease?
He's in the crease.
Yeah. Oh, yes. In that case, yeah. Right.
The crease starts from the exterior of the line.
Right. Typically, if you're on a line, you're in the next zone. But in this case, he's still in the crease. So on an end line or a side line or a wing line, if you're on the line, you're in the next zone, right?
Right, because he'd be on the interior of the line.
Correct. So in this case, we have possession, the ball's in his stick, and the keeper is in the crease. Good to know, because if there's an attackman here right now that goes to hit that stick, we have an interference call, but we have a different kind of interference, as you'll see. So there's your kind of cylinder issue here. He's still part of his cylinder. Do we have goalkeeper interference here? Let's assume that number 15, keeper, left the goal crease before, as he got airborne. He was in the crease the last time he was on the ground. So what do we have?
I don't know definitively.
That would be interference.
Yeah, we're assuming 29 is contacting his stick. Okay.
So he's still considered in the crease because even though he's left the ground?
You are where you were. When you're airborne, you are where you were. So at this point, we have goaltender interference. Now he may come down outside the crease, but you still have goaltender interference.
You are where you were. Okay. And that's the same thing on a shot.
You are where you were. Where
Okay.
you were. Yeah, it's a good little.
When you
good
went
little-
airborne, were you inbounds or were you out of bounds? When you went airborne, were you in the crease or were you out of the crease when you went airborne? That's
Right.
I like Dick's expression that you are where you were. That's a great way to remember
You
it.
are where you were. I think that's an old Hinchy one, isn't it, John? Anyhow, what do we have here? Anybody?
Goalie's got possession. Attackman cannot check him.
Anybody want to comment on Wick? Does the goalie have possession?
Well, he has it clamped, so the attackman cannot play him.
So let's get to the definition of possession.
I don't
How do
think
you
he, yeah.
how do you
he doesn't-
how do
I
you
don't think he
define
has it fully
He has
clamped.
the ball clamped.
Can he pass, cradle, or shoot?
No,
So there's no possession.
but so you don't start your count, but he has the ball clamped. Attackman cannot play a goalie who has the ball clamped.
That's correct. So we do have our primary, I'll call it the primary, the one that happens the most. That is goaltender interference.
Right.
It's a play on, which we'll get to, in the more of the mechanics. So at this point, yes, the attackman has touched the goalie's stick. Good call.
The way to think of it is the attacking player may not touch the goalkeeper's stick or the goalkeeper's body if the ball is in the crease and the goalkeeper's in the crease.
Correct. Yep. This is just
can I ask a question on that?
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Okay, so goalie's standing up. Goalie is clamping down enthusiastically from his shoulder down to the ground. Now, this is more of a youth thing than it is a varsity level. The attackman checks the goalie's stick and then comes down ahead of the goalie and swipes the ball out. Is that goalie interference? Because that would counter what John just said.
He hit the goalie in the glove or the arm?
Stick. He knocked his stick up in the air.
Yep.
And the goalie was, was coming down. Maybe it was parallel with the ground by his chest.
Sure. Can't touch the goalie.
Can't touch the goalie. Okay.
The ball's in the cylinder. The
ball's in the cylinder.
The goalkeeper's in the crease. You can't touch the goalkeeper's stick or his body.
Okay. Okay.
Or the goal itself.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That works.
So any broken, lost equipment while the goalie is in the crease, immediate whistle. And John has all sorts of fun stories about this, but it is an immediate whistle. If the offense has the ball, restart laterally in the alley. So if there's possession, you always want to know that. When you're about to blow the whistle, do you or do you not have possession? Period. So goalie, you noticed his stick is broken. He's in the crease, or his helmet, his neck guard, whatever. We want to protect the goalie. Okay. If the ball's loose, you have to use AP. But try to wait for possession. Again, the goalie's disadvantaged. You got a loose ball. You hate to have to use AP. So let's see if either A or D can pick up the ball, then kill it and fix the goalie. Okay. If the ball's in the crease, either loose or in possession, awarded to the defense. So ball's loose. Going back to this picture, let's say it's a loose ball. His glove came off or whatever, or the stick broke. We would kill it right there and give it to the defense. Okay. Goalie playing the ball while he's outside is treated as a field player. Okay. And there's more on that in the rule book, in your approved rulings, and you'll get used to that. But he's basically treated as a field player. There's other magnifying definitions to that as well. Goalkeepers prohibitions. The attack, as we said, attacking player may not be touching the goal crease, right? Let me move my thingies here. There. Maybe not touching the goal crease, right? You're considered in the crease if any part of his body touches. Attackman falls down and his hand touches that line. His glove, he's in the crease. Okay. Goalkeeper is considered outside. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, John.
The stick is different than the body's player. The attacking player can reach into the crease with the stick and touch the crease to try and get the ball out, assuming he doesn't hit the goalkeeper's body.
Goalkeeper's stick, right? Yep.
But his body can never touch in the crease on the ground.
You'll see an attackman try to whack, hockey the ball out of there, whack it. In doing so, as long as he just hits the ball and it gets out of the crease, we're good. But if he hits the goalie's stick while he's trying to hockey it, we got a problem. Okay. Goalkeeper is considered outside the crease if no part of his body touches, okay, the crease. You may have a goalie that actually is on the ground outside the crease, but the ball is inside the crease. He can reach back in and clamp it, right? Clamp it and then get his body back in and we're good. But if he reaches back in and picks it up, to John's earlier point, and then steps back into the crease, he has entered the crease in possession of the ball. So that would be an in and out violation. Kind of rare, but just driving this definition home. So again, may not re-enter, or in John's parlance, may not enter with possession. No field player can play goalie. Your defender, let's say the goalie is run all the way to the midfield on a clear, loses the ball. The attack comes back down on a fast break and a defender steps in. Read your rule book on that. It's a penalty. And let's see what, oops. Okay. So just some pictures. That's clearly contact with the goalkeeper in the crease. Attack, stick hits his helmet. That's a problem. Now, if that was really serious enough or you deemed it to be intentional, you clearly have a slash there. That's personal foul. Forget interference, right? Diving in high school. No. If you leave your feet on your own volition and land in the crease, and the ball goes in the net, it is a no goal. So again, you become airborne on your own volition. What's the opposite of that?
You get pushed.
I'm airborne. Exactly. I'm airborne and I'm shoved in. Either could be legally or illegally shoved into the crease.
If you dive and you leave your feet of your own volition, it doesn't matter when you land in the crease, whether the ball has already gone in or it hasn't. In the high school federation, it will be no goal. Yeah.
What if you get pushed and you score? Is it still and land in the crease? Is it a goal?
That's coming up. You'll see.
Okay. Sorry.
Dives and lands outside the crease. Are we okay?
Yes.
You are where you were. He's not in the crease till he lands.
And in this case, you are where you will be. You will be out of the crease, hopefully. Right. Pretty rare. High school level, you're not going to, unless it's a high-level high school varsity game, you're not going to see an attackman running on that angle, unobstructed, leave his feet back there, back there, and land over here. That's pretty amazing. Unless you're John Gates or Gary Gates. Excuse me. Okay, what if he dives and is legally pushed into the crease? Anybody want to help Wick out with that call?
I would say the goal counts.
Depends on when the ball goes in and when he lands.
Nope, they make it simple for you. He left on his own volition, right?
but then he was fouled.
Doesn't matter. Because he left of his own volition, it doesn't matter what happens next. It will not count no matter what.
Right.
High school rule.
Okay.
Legal or illegal. Right.
If he was on his feet and he was pushed and dramatically went airborne and scored, then what?
Right. He didn't leave his feet. In other words, the push made him airborne.
Right.
Then it depends. Did he touch the crease before or after the ball crossed the goal line?
Right.
If he touched the crease.
As I said, this slide deck starts with, this is where you earn your money. So
I have the ball. I get pushed and shoot. I shoot while I'm in the air as I've been pushed and land in the crease. Goal or no goal?
Did the ball go in before you landed in the crease?
Yes.
Then it's a good goal.
Good goal.
But if it went in after I landed, no, that makes sense. It's not a goal. Okay.
In this case, if you have this kind of activity in a game you're reffing, when you as the lead come in, you can blow your whistle, but do not signal goal.
Right.
Call your partner, because now you.
Oh yeah, that's a good advice.
You both need to see and discuss what you saw as either being illegal or legally pushed.
Because even if you call a push on the defenseman because you land in there before you score, it's still a push, and you can't shoot inside the crease.
Now what you could do, again, as fast as you think and your experience level, you can throw a flag, come in and blow your whistle, then discuss it, because if your partner and you agree that it was a legal push, you can pick up the flag and wave it off.
Right.
And have
Makes
a good
sense.
goal. Right?
All makes sense.
So that way, because everybody sees that, if you will, that push.
Yep.
And everybody in the stand, 50% of those people are going to say that was an illegal push, and 50% are going to say it was a good push. So your flag keeps everybody quiet for a while.
Yeah.
While you make that determination.
Yeah, that exact situation happened at the John Hopkins Townsend game. The last, he got pushed in, the flag went up. It was exactly what you're talking about.
And just so you're aware, the rules for NCAA are different from Federation in terms of the way the crease is treated. But just to summarize real briefly, if the player leaves his feet of his own volition and lands in the crease, it's not going to be a goal, no matter what the time.
No matter what happens. Okay.
Correct.
Right? Yep. If he doesn't leave his feet of his own volition and gets legally body checked or illegally body checked and lands in the crease, right? It's going to have gone into the goal first before it lands for it to count as a goal.
Right.
You can never score a goal
from inside the crease.
Offensive player is in the crease before the ball crosses the goal line.
Yep.
Period. Right.
Period. Totally makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, one question I have is going back to that. Let's say it's a legal push. It does not go to the goal. You award the ball to defense. What if it is a illegal push or it's a cross check? Who do you award the ball to? Back to defense as well? If it's legal or illegal push?
So we have a defensive cross check on an attackman that's airborne, correct? Is that your call? So in this picture right here, this is actually, we're going to deem this to be a cross check.
Right.
Flag down. Ball goes in the net or doesn't go in the net. This guy lands in the crease, whistle. That kills the play.
Right.
Okay.
Cross check. 1 minute.
Adjudicate your penalty. Penalties on defense. Where do you restart the ball? And who?
In the alley with the offense.
Bingo.
Offense.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. Cool. And again, this is just, there's no right answer here because this is a still picture. Okay. But this official's coming in. He's got a pretty good look at it. But this is the whole point. You want to get in close. John and I will both tell you that it is wise to what we call yo-yo. As that lead, if the play is on your side of the field, you want to back out more towards your alley. Keep the players in front of you. As the play goes around to the other side of the crease, you want to run in. I like getting 3 or 4 yards outside that crease so that I can see everything. But again, as the play comes around towards that official, you want to get out of the way, right? So again, this is just showing how tough the calls can be. This could have been a push here. We don't know if the attackman, his foot actually had touched the crease before he shot. The goalie's got the save. We have possession, all sorts of things, right? Not to scare you, just to give you the heads up. So a goal is scored. What's the definition of a goal? A goal is scored when a loose ball passes from the front of the goal pipes, the rear of the rear edges of the goal line and the goal posts, the crossbar, regardless of who supplied the impetus. And although there are some little minor exceptions to that call, and released prior to the horn. Or the goalie drops the ball in the crease, so it becomes loose in the crease. It's a goal.
Behind the goal line.
Behind the goalie.
The goalie could have the ball in his cross, lean back to
it's
pass
in
it, and
right.
It falls out. Yeah.
That's what. Yep.
That's a goal.
So is that a goal?
No.
Everybody okay with that? No goal.
No goal. Got to cross the line.
Goal. Hopefully, right? Here's the yo-yo concept. So with my cursor, if the ball is over in this area, right, I'm going to slough in probably right about there. As the attackman comes around this side, I'm going to back out towards the line, maybe move up a little or down a little, depending on where I'm going to see that line best. That's 3-man. We won't worry about that. Again, crease positioning. This guy's right, kind of hopefully sees everything that's going on there. This guy probably is okay. Looks like he's pretty close to the crease. On grass fields, you're going to run into this. You can barely see the crease line. Make proximity calls. And usually that's going to be a JV field that just had rain the night before. They're a mess. Most of your turf fields are pretty good. One of the issues with turf fields now, there's too many lines because they use it for 400 sports. So where's the best place to be on your GLE? You can be a little bit above so you can kind of see that line. Right on, if that's a ball that's sort of stopped and goes right dead, maybe you can't see if it's crossed the line. And then from below, you can see. You'll get comfortable with like where the shots are coming from as to whether you want to be above the goal or below the goal. So you'll get comfortable with that. It's a little better view if you're in close to the crease. You're below, you can see the line. Here you really can't. And if I'm above, I can see it pretty well. So is this guy too close or just right? Probably should have been in a little closer, given that the play is coming from the opposite side, but he's got a pretty good line. This ref right here might be a little too tight because this attackman's coming around right in front of him. Just various pictures to kind of get you thinking. What's going through this official's mind right now? What do you think? You're that official. What are you looking at?
That stick's pretty high, close to his neck.
Part one. What else?
Looking at the crease.
Yeah. So your eyes are moving up and down here. I'm looking at that defender's stick. We either possibly have a cross check or a cross check hold. Is the attackman going to drive into him and step in the crease? Yada, yada, yada. Again, this is just two players, and you still have several things to look at. What's going through this official's mind? Let's assume he is the lead. What's your comment about him? You're observing that official. What do you think?
Trying to find where the ball is.
Is that his job?
As the lead, yes.
He's doing his job. And he hopes to hell his
The trail is
partner.
watching that.
You got it.
Because that looks gnarly.
And just to point out this picture, the lead is right? He's moving right, which is not the normal positioning.
It's
guys.
It's an old slide, John.
An old slide. You'd be lead left, so he'd be on the other side of the goal line extended.
Okay.
Just so you're not confused.
Okay.
And I'm not sure. Judged by the goalie's look, it looks like the ball scored. It looks like he's kind of depressed and looking in the cage. So anyhow, that's it. So questions on crease?
Hey, Dick, you want to about what happens if a goalie makes a save, goes to make the outlet pass, and he clicks sticks?
Interference.
Good point.
I didn't hear about that from you guys.
So we basically have three types of interference, guys, right? We have this kind of interference here. That's goaltender interference. So we're going to have a play on, just to use the whole mechanic here.
This is when the goalkeeper has possession.
Correct. We're going to have a play on, and we're waiting for something to happen. Anybody guess what we're waiting for? Play on. We have possession. A foul. We're looking.
If Red gets possession, on the clear, then play on is off. If White gets possession, then stop the play and ball goes to Red. Free clear.
So Al Tortorella is that goalie. He basically has three options. He can come back down, land in the crease, and just hold the ball. For how long?
4 seconds.
4 seconds. Then that's an offensive, quote unquote, foul. It's a clearing count violation, right? So that kills the play. But we had the play on 29. We had goaltender interference. That's this kind of interference. Your crossed arms above your head, okay? That restart is going to occur where?
Over the midline?
Correct. That is a free clear. Okay?
Any goalie interference is free clear, correct?
No.
So this is goaltender interference, a possession interference. Okay. Yeah. Now we have. I don't know if I have one of a goalie just clearing a ball, but let's just say the goalie now has made the save. It's in his stick. You've turned your beeper on. Okay.
Yeah.
You've started your 4 count, and there's an attackman. I'll see if I can back away. There's an attackman right in front of the crease, right, holding his stick up. And as that goalie makes a pass, our sticks hit. Okay.
Play on.
Correct. Play on. Until what?
Until one of the teams gets possession. If the goalie's team gets possession, then play on is off and White just plays the ball.
Right.
If the other team gets it, then stop the game. The ball goes to White, which would be another free clear because it's goalie interference.
So, right. So yes, that's correct because it hit, their sticks hit, right, while making the pass. What you've got to watch out for is a sly goalie who actually makes a pass off to the side and then swirls around and that attackman's stick hits, right? That could be a slash, right? Because the goalie is actually passed and then turns around and whacks the attackman. Probably not going to see that too often. But the other type of interference is the ball is loose in the crease and the attackman has touched the goalie's stick with a loose ball
or body.
Yeah.
What's the first thing we do is the lead?
Blow the whistle.
No. Play on.
That's a play on?
It's a loose ball, right?
Okay.
It's a loose ball. If the goalie does nothing and leaves it loose, clamped, what do you got?
And the attackman's hitting the clamped goalie's ball.
Yeah, he's hit him once. He's hit his stick once. But the goalie's just clamped it. So he's withholding the ball.
Yeah.
But what preceded that was a foul by the offense. So the goalie can now you would kill the play, because the goalie did nothing with it, right? But now the goalie's going to get the ball and you're going to restart it. The goalie's going to restart it right where he is because it's a defensive restart. Okay. That is not a free clear. He doesn't get a 50-yard advantage. His team doesn't get a 50-yard advantage.
Because he couldn't make a pass with the ball.
Correct. He didn't have possession.
Didn't have possession of the ball. Okay.
Yeah.
So the free clear only comes when the goalie has possession of the ball.
Correct.
Okay.
Couple quick points. If the goalie has possession and he goes to make a pass, right, and it hits the offensive player's stick, that is a play on. It doesn't matter if the ball already came out of the goalkeeper's stick. He is entitled to protection on the follow through of his sticks. So even though the ball has left his stick, right, the sticks collide. It is if it occurred while he had the ball in the stick. It is.
I've taught my goalies that for 30 years now. God, I'm old.
The other.
Go ahead, John. Yeah, go ahead.
The other point I just wanted to make is if the goalie has possession in the crease and he is interfered with because the attacker hits his stick or hits his body, the goalkeeper has two choices. He can run the ball out of the crease, and if he chooses to do that, the play on is over, or he can pass the ball to a teammate who catches it and moves on, and that would end the play on. If neither of those two things happen, then we have the free clear and awarded at midfield.
Right.
So the goalie then would have to hold it for 4 seconds, and it would be a free clear.
If he holds it for 4 seconds, yes.
Okay, and then it would be a free clear. Gotcha.
Correct. And you're looking for a completed pass, which on the turf could be a bounced pass.
Okay.
Right.
Yep. In youth, you're going to hear in the youth rules, as soon as the ball touches the ground, you kill a play. But in this case, even in youth, a bounced pass would be continued. So yeah.
Is that can that be like a judgment call if it's a bounce pass and it's uncontested and the goalie's teammate picks the ball up and is boogieing down the field with it, to a fast break?
If it's uncontested, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for advantage, disadvantage, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, advantage, disadvantage. That makes sense.
So a botched pass, right? Yeah. Yeah. Kind of the same thing, like a defenseless player hit.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing. You're too close. Exactly right. And I think the last one we didn't show, but we will demo this at the clinic. And we also demo these at our youth clinics, which, by the way, for all you guys, anybody close to Cheshire, this Sunday at Cheshire High, we have about 24 youth adult guys coming in for level 1 certification. And in these clinics, we actually demo some of this stuff. We actually draw a crease. We go through, physically what these things look like. So you guys are welcome to come. If you're interested in that, just shoot me an email and let me know you're coming. You'd get in for no charge. We do charge the the high school kids $30. So,
What time
but
is that?
we go 10 to 2. And you don't have to stay for the whole thing. You can stay for whatever piece you want because you're in this training. And it's pretty much the exact same training.
That's
Even
high school.
even though these
working.
well,
Sorry.
these kids won't. No, these kids are geared to do U10 and U8 games. So a lot of what the what you're learning in these don't apply to them. I
No,
mean,
I'm thinking just for my son to come because I know he wants to do this. But I'll talk to you about that. I'll call you about that one, Dick.
Yeah, I'll shoot. Yeah, just shoot me an email, Wick. I'll send you the
Okay.
the registration.
Thanks.
Dick, you want to go ahead and stop the recording, and then we can keep answering questions if people have them?
Yeah. I think Rob said the recording will stop when we jump off.
Yeah.
But the one other interference, which is perfectly legal, the goalie is in the crease. The ball is just outside the crease. So let me go to a picture here. Let's use, I don't know if this is a good one.
Just pretend that's a good one. Pretend the ball's outside the crease.
Slide, yeah. So let's say the ball's like right here.
Yeah.
And you can see the dark crease line. The ball's there and the goalie clamps it out here.
Yep. Breaks it in.
Can attackman whack his stick?
No. Because
Why
the
not?
goalie's in the crease. If his feet are in the crease, then he's in the crease.
Where's the ball?
Where's the ball?
The ball's outside, but the goalie's inside.
Is it in his possession?
It's under his stick, not in his
Right.
stick.
But
So
he's in the crease.
They can go under his stick.
Yeah.
They can attack his stick. Only the portion of the stick that is outside the line. I know that sounds silly, but some of these goalies have 4-foot shafts. So if the attackman actually hits the part of his stick, right, that is inside the crease up here, that would be bad. But if here's the crease line right here, this part of the stick can be checked, okay? And that's not interference.
So they can check an attackman can check the goal, or midfielder can check the goalie's stick outside the crease if he has it clamped.
Right, because
not inside the crease.
No possession and outside the ball outside the crease and no possession. The attackman can play it.
Here's your key. Here's your keys. Where's the ball? It's outside the crease. Where's the keeper? He's in. Is there possession? No. Then we're okay. Okay.
So the ball has to be in and the keeper has to be in order for it to be illegal. Okay.
Right.
All right. That makes sense. That's fine.
Now, here's your last complication. The goalie comes out of the crease. He's total, his body's out of it. And he tennis rakes it. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
See if I can do the video.
Where's the ball? Where is he tennis raking it from?
He's out and he tennis rakes it like this. And he and the ball and his stick come back into the crease. Are we okay?
Yes.
Why?
Because he didn't have possession of the ball when he entered the crease.
Bingo. Perfectly legal. You'll see in lower games, you'll see a goalie stretch with his tippy toe, his big toe in the crease, and he'll stretch out with his stick. I'm over here. He'll stretch way out, clamp the ball, and try to pull it back in. Tell him, as a coach, don't do that. Go out and clamp it and drag it back in. That's not re-entry because you didn't have possession. You're 100% right. Make sense, everybody?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, we'll take questions on anything, right, John? 5 or 10 minutes?
Yeah, I think you can turn the recording off, Dick, because I think he gave you control of it.
I will try. Pause. Are you sure you want to stop?